Muppet fans, this one's for you. A few days ago, just on a pure whim, I made one of those TikTok slideshows where I talked about who I would cast in a Muppet version of James Gunn's Superman movie. To my utter shock, that little post wound up blowing up like nothing I've ever done on this platform before. So if you're one of those almost 250,000 people who watched, liked, or replied to that post, thank you. You're wonderful. I bet you smell like fresh baked bread. There are a couple of recurring comments I want to quickly address, though. First of all, to everybody who felt the need to inform me that they couldn't do that because Disney owns the Muppets and Warner Brothers owns DC. Yeah, I know. I'm well aware of how IP works. I am almost preternaturally aware of how IP works. This was never intended as a serious proposal. This was just for funsies. Second, I knew that there would be some people who disagreed with some of my casting choices, and that's fine. That's cool. But for the people who specifically said that they thought I should have gone with Super Grover or Barkley or Sprocket, the reason I didn't do that, guys, is because I was trying to stick with the classic Muppet Studios Muppets, the ones that would actually get used were this movie to get made, as opposed to the ones that are owned by other companies, like the Sesame Workshop or the Jim Henson Company. I know that's kind of contradictory to my whole "this is just for funsies" comment from a minute ago, but that's just the kind of pedantic that my brain is. Deal with it. And finally, everybody who said that I should have cast Animal as Crypto instead of Rolf, okay, you got me there. That's actually a much better choice. I concede that one. But the reason that this works is because, first of all, the Muppets can do absolutely anything, and their fans know it. And second of all, we are so starved for Muppet content right now that we'll take even a silly little thing like my post. Disney has been sitting on these characters for entirely too long with no idea of what to do with them. Word has it that Seth Rogen is producing a new reboot of The Muppet Show for Disney+. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm trying to remain cautiously optimistic. But Seth, if you're listening to this, what you need to remember is the reason the Muppets work so well is because who they are as characters. Kermit, Piggy, Fozzie, Ralph, these characters are performers, first and foremost. They're actors, they're musicians, they're comedians that are all dedicated to putting on a show. That's why there are two different kinds of Muppet productions. In the first kind, we're following the adventures of this performing troupe in a real world where they coexist with humans. We see that in things like the original Muppets movie, Muppets from 2011, and the horrendously underrated Muppets Mayhem from Disney+. Seriously, if you haven't watched that, go do it right now. It's that good. The other kind of performance are the ones where we're watching the show that these performers are putting on, usually with one celebrity guest. It's kind of an expanded sketch from the old Muppet Show, and the Muppets themselves are playing characters, and not necessarily themselves, although it's, Kermit as Bob Cratchit. That's how we get movies like Bob Kane in Muppet Christmas Carol, Tim Curry in Muppet Treasure Island, and Ashante in Muppet Wizard of Oz. And that second category works because the Muppets have such a great, diverse array of characters and personalities that you can fit them into almost any story. I sincerely believe that you could take any story, as long as it's a good story in the first place, and do an entertaining Muppets version of it. When Disney bought Fox, there was very briefly a rumor that they were considering a remake of The Princess Bride. And we stood up collectively as a nation in a way that we never show unity on anything else. And we said, no, we do not want that. We will not watch it. We will not support a Princess Bride remake in any way, shape, or form. And then we thought about it for a few seconds. And then we added, unless it's the Muppets. Bunsen and Beaker as Miracle Max and Valerie, by the way. But you know what I really want to see? Muppet monster movies. Maybe it's just because Halloween's coming up, but how great would it be to see the Muppets take on the classics of Gothic literature? Muppets Phantom of the Opera, starring, of course, the great Gonzo. Muppet Frankenstein. Fozzie is the creature, Statler and Waldorf is the blind old man that he tries to befriend. Muppets Dracula. Piggy as Mina Murray, Kermit as Jonathan Harker, and as the Count himself, Liam Neeson. And any of these would work, because the Muppets can do anything. Don't forget that, Disney. And the rest of you, don't forget that I've got some books on Amazon. Just look up my name.